I myself had pelvic floor dysfunction, urinary issues, sexual challenges, 5 years of really extreme situations related to that. I've helped over 1,000 people. I get to see people get better in 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months instead of 5 years, 10 years.
And your new book is called?
The Root Truth. So it's called The Root Truth, the root chakra, the root of the body being out of balance. That's another layer of challenge that people have with this particular part of the body. It's the social stigma. Your body has an imbalance. That's okay, you're a human being. We all go through things.
Practically, what would be supportive for them right now?
I recommend following what I call the root cause way. I don't just say only do the root cause way. That's the primary path though. There are tools that oftentimes are diversions because the diversion seems convenient.
Welcome to the Ascension Podcast. This one has been a long time coming. This is my dear brother, Michael Hodge. We met through your transformation platform called You Transformed 4 years ago and have subsequently had like 10, maybe more retreats together at this point that you and your dad have led, very spiritual, healing focused, meditation style retreats that have absolutely helped me to transform. And man, it's just such a long time coming. I'm so glad to actually have you on the podcast. Welcome, brother.
Let's do it. I mean, you're wearing the tribe shirt from You Transformed. You've got the bracelet on. What does it say, by the way?
Oh, I wonder, what does this say? This moment is the best moment.
Yeah. We're going to have a fun time, and I just want to point out a little bit of kind of what we'll talk about, because that could be useful. Like, hey, should I listen to this podcast or not? And I'm going to be helping, through Tyler's questions, help you realize how you could be causing your own chronic illness, your own chronic pain and dysfunction. Because obviously a lot of people think there's something medical, there's something anatomical, there's something physical happening in my body, I need to go to the doctor. And then even you go down to the wellness path. Well, I need to eat superfoods. I need to have the best herbs, the best supplements. I need to have the exact right muscular alignment. Am I doing the right workouts? All of this is still oftentimes a distraction from a deeper root cause. A root cause that's mental, emotional, or energetic. And we'll talk about that. Now, does movement matter? Does nutrition matter? Of course, it always matters. But if we just start at the surface level and we try to address the symptoms, matter to matter, chemical or mechanical to physical, we're not really getting at what's generating the symptoms in many cases. So that's the point of this podcast, and we're just going to have a good conversation, but that's what hopefully you'll get out of this today.
And your new book is called?
The Root Truth.
Getting to the core, getting to the roots. What's the point of looking at outcomes and focusing on just what's showing up if we don't actually look and find the source? What would be causing it? We're input and output beings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. In this book, I do have a background in pelvic health, so it's called The Root Truth, the root chakra, the root of the body being out of balance, but also getting to the very genesis of what's causing those issues. Because I myself had pelvic floor dysfunction, urinary issues, sexual challenges, 5 years of really extreme situations related to that. And I had to either get to the bottom of it. I was forced to. It was a crucible. It was, you have to actually look beneath all of the stones. You have to really get down to the core of what you're avoiding feeling, of what you're avoiding that you're afraid of, and what you're avoiding that you think is the unthinkable choice, the unthinkable life path. But that's egoic attachment. And so it got to the point, it's like, really open up and surrender all the way, or just commit suicide. Like, there weren't really other options. Because on the mechanical and chemical level, all the herbs I should take, eat the cleanest, purest diet, do the right movement, go to physical therapy, go to acupuncture, do all of the things that seem to be the answer. Yet nothing changes. And so that's what led me to discovering the root truth and ultimately then working in this field. I've helped over 1,000 people through actual programs who've worked with me closely, not just on YouTube and things like that. And that's been really gratifying because I get to see people get better in 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months instead of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I mean, someone will be like, oh, this has been going on for 9 months. It's so dark. Like, it's so much despair. I'm like, I get it. But I'm so glad that you found the work now. That's really awesome, right? Instead of 10 years later.
And I imagine so many of the people that are showing up, there's shame, right? There's guilt. There's layers of emotional blocks to even share or reach out. Like, especially if you're talking about the pelvic floor and, things with urinary or sexual function, sexual behavior. I mean, that's stuff that is got to be really secure to be able to bring out into the open.
Mm-hmm. That's another layer of challenge that people have with this particular part of the body. It's the social stigma. Even more so with men than women I've seen, although it can happen either way. But I don't know any bros who are going around saying, yeah, like my ejaculatory time's like 30 seconds right now, or I've been peeing, I pee like every 30 minutes or whatever. They don't want to look as less than. Because they're like, if I don't have this masculinity, what do I have? And am I going to be desirable by others? Am I going to stand up? So it's a hard blow. It's even more, it's like a greater importance is placed on it than if you hurt your elbow, or have back pain. And even though there's more importance, there's like I go into hiding trying to fix it. Or I do methods that aren't necessarily the answer. So just being able to speak openly and honestly about what you're experiencing without added post-it notes of shame and I should be better than this, or I should be feeling great. We remove all that stuff.
It's huge.
This is just what's happening right now. Your body has an imbalance. That's okay. You're a human being. We all go through things. Do we shame someone or make them feel bad because they have cancer? No. Do we do that about premature ejaculation? Definitely.
Wow.
Do we do that about ED? Societally. Like, why don't we love everyone's bodies unconditionally?
Why don't we?
Well, there's conditional love inside the self. But that conditional love was impressed upon the self by others. So when we're born, we get molded by those around us. And they were molded by those before them. And they were molded by those before them. And we can look back to survivalism and tribalism and the need to have egoic importance and to show strength. And we don't need to talk about that for 30 minutes. But there's a reason why it even started, so to speak. So we do live in a world that's becoming safer and safer and safer for you to be your authentic self, which is a great blessing. There was a time which there was much more war and the need to survive tooth and nail. So there's an abundance of food and resources and information. But so it's time to drop all the baggage from the prior generations. But yes, people are impressed upon them that sex is taboo, these things should be, this makes you look like a strong man, or this makes you look like a weak woman if you can't have a baby, or all these sort of things. So yeah, you're able to find those things inside yourself and let them go. And I'm not saying that that's the root truth or the root cause of why you're having physical body imbalances, this one shame piece,
right,
or the conditioning piece. But there is an added layer on top that makes someone wait 5 years before they go to the doctor. For women, a lot of times, they can wait and they put themselves on the back burner. They're like, I'm feeling kind of weird down there, but I've got 3 kids and I've got a lot going on, I'll be okay. Whereas guys who are having pelvic floor issues are like, I gotta fix this now.
Right.
I gotta fix this right now because I'm not gonna be able to have sex. If people in my community find out about this or about me, so there are different dynamics that happen in those regards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you find that the people that you're working with, that you're the first person that they've reached out to, or do you feel like they're usually further along in reaching out?
Most of the time, they're further along the path. They often start with the medical. Let me go and see if there's something really seriously wrong with me. Or they're like, I don't even know what this is. A lot of people don't even know what their pelvic floor is. It's not a rug on the ground. I mean, pelvic floor musculature, it's the muscles that go underneath the testicles, the penis, the vagina. It's the hammock that's kind of holding up the pelvis. You could think of it that way. And it has this flexibility. It relaxes and strengthens. There's actually a level of tension there most of the time, but not in a way that feels uncomfortable, but just so that your organs, and you don't have prolapsed organs and things falling out all over the place.
What's prolapsed?
Prolapse is whenever a pelvic organ that can actually override and kind of fall out into another. There's even rectal prolapse. Some of the rectum comes out of the anus a little bit. So it starts to come out of the body. There can be more severe prolapses or not. And a prolapse is more of a mechanical, structural thing. Some of the things we'll talk about today are brain or nervous system generated. There's absolutely no disease pathology, but the chronic pain is there. The symptoms are there. The urinary frequency, the premature ejaculation, the ED, the vaginismus, all these different things, they're there even though there's no disease pathology. So that's really the primary work I do. I help people that have non-structural genitourinary dysfunction. If you have prostate cancer, I would recommend some biomedical assistance. If you have prolapse, you might need some assistance due to what's taking place with the organs moving around. But lifestyle factors, the mental, emotional side, always helps. It helps with anything. It doesn't matter. Someone's like, well, this is cancer, or this is this particular disease, or this is a rare genetic disease. The mental, emotional belief systems, these underlying aspects play grand importance in all parts of the body's functioning, which would go back to how you're causing your own chronic illness or pain or dysfunction. The thing is, people have had a hand in the creation of their own illness. However, they have the power to reverse it as well. And it's unconscious. Clearly, you're not trying to make yourself sick. No one wants that hell. Right. But the subconscious mind does what it has to do to send you a message if you're not listening to what's really happening beneath the surface. And it uses the body to do that. And so that's really a great gift. But we say, that's bad. I have this pain, I have this tension, I'm peeing all the time. Or, we're talking about pelvic health, but this goes everywhere. I'm having low back pain, I'm having chronic migraines, I'm having chronic fatigue day after day after day. It's not that your body hates you or that there's just something wrong. There's something happening. You need to take it to the mechanic. The mechanic will check out which part needs to be replaced, maybe give me some more fluid, throw some chemicals inside of me. No, you need to actually see that who is driving the car. Look in the mirror. Who has been driving the car the way that it has been driven that would have created that imbalance in the first place?
Right.
That part was broken down due to a series of consistent, perpetual thoughts, emotions that are being avoided, attachments, etc. Those are the root causes. Because when you identify them, you reveal them and you release them, the part gets fixed on its own in many cases. You don't need biomedical intervention. You don't need that surgery you thought you might need. All of that.
Wow. So for somebody that would be listening, say they have some challenges right now, what are some practices, practically what would be supportive for them right now? Say something's really light, but they're just, feeling discomfort or dis-ease. You mentioned a whole lot of different diagnoses, different, challenges along the way. If you'd like to zero in on anything in particular.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, If you're really concerned and your intuition is sort of saying that, and you may be like, I'm not connected to my intuition, I have no idea what you mean, and that's also fine. It is a good idea to have a medical practitioner take a look at what you're dealing with. That's fine. Get a workup. Maybe you get a blood test. Maybe you get some other diagnostic. Maybe you just have a visit. That can be assistive, because if there's this question of what if there's something really serious back there, and then you're going down this path of more self-reflection and the things I'm about to mention, and you're riding two horses, like, nah, it probably is something structural. They just haven't found it yet. And then you're riding two horses. You get split down the middle. So it can be a good idea to get some assistance. Beyond that, I recommend following what I call the root cause way. And that's in the book. That's the primary thesis and path. It's the meta level path for recovery and the micro level technique. So it's actually, if you were to lay out a 3-month recovery plan, just as an example, not that it's going to always be that way, it would involve these 3 things: relax, reveal, and release.
Relax, reveal, and release.
And that's also the micro level technique. So in the moment when you're experiencing the pain, the tension, the tightness, the sensations, the discomfort, whatever that is, you also do relax, reveal, and release. It's the micro level technique that is the way, that is the path.
Relax, reveal, release.
And I'll get into that.
Okay.
So relax, you're talking about this person who is having stomach issues, as an example, and they're having weird sensations. Maybe they went to a doctor, a couple of checks, like, we don't really know, you seem to be okay, as an example. They're like, I don't know what to do. And of course they're Googling and they're getting all these ideas and all these concepts. First step is relax, and not like chill out, you have to chill out. It's more about regulating your nervous system, because your nervous system's on high alert right now. It's thinking about all the possible negative outcomes. That can potentially put you into what's called the fear-pain cycle, or the fear-dysfunction cycle. That actually links together neural circuitry that only perpetuates the symptomology. The fear can help produce more of it ultimately, biochemically, and it's a process that can feed into it. So the relaxing is putting a pause and interrupt and coming into the present moment. Part of this is actually coming into the sensation that you don't want to feel. Because you're like, this is really uncomfortable. How do I get rid of it?
Right. Instead of avoiding it, it's actually going in, diving in, and making love, creating love with that signal that's being sent by the body. The body being the messenger here, communicating with the heart and the soul, is connected and animating through. We just want coherence, right? Yeah.
The body is doing it to help you.
Right.
And even if that's chemical, even if there are other bacterial, fungal, there are different things. And again, getting some assistance, learning things can help. But let's just start here. Relax the nervous system. This can be something as simple as doing a 5-minute breath work. You could be like a 1-minute breath work. Just take a few really long, deep breaths. Yeah, beautiful. And have a long exhale. There are other little interventions you can do. Shaking, or TRE, which is turning on the tremor response in your body.
Turning on the tremor response.
We can talk about that more later maybe, but it's a really cool practice. TRE, which means tension and trauma release exercises.
Okay.
So whenever the creator of TRE, Dr. Bercelli, was working in the Middle East during a lot of battles and war zones, and he recognized that the kids around him would be shaking whenever bombs were being dropped. The adults were not, though, because they had like their social norms of like, I'm courageous, I'm brave, I'm all right. The kids are just like shaking. It's because there's this buildup of this nervous system sympathetic response because their life is on the line.
Of course.
And the shaking is automatically releasing it the whole time.
Wow.
So TRE is really cool because it allows you to intentionally turn on the neurogenic tremor response that's already genetically encoded inside of you. So maybe you do TRE, maybe you do some breath work, maybe you go for a nature walk, you just lie on the grass. There are lots of things you can do to regulate your nervous system. Yeah. So doing a somatic practice of some sort that allows you to interrupt the state of upregulation is really awesome because it brings you into what's here right now.
And upregulation, would that mean like an increase in heart rate, for example, an increase in breath rate?
Yes, yeah. So there are a lot of different physiological factors that come online whenever you're in fight or flight, or fight, flight, freeze, fawn, appease. Ultimately, there's this upregulation. And so the somatic practice approach brings you into the body and into the moment because you're probably up here. You're probably in the head. There's the figuring out, the fixing, the frustration, the worry, the fear. And so we want to just be with the body. That's relax. So step one is relax the nervous system. By the way, you could use the word regulate because sometimes it's just play. Dancing, moving, playing a sport. It's regulating to the nervous system. So there are lots of different ways you can do that. But I mean, if you're in like severe pain in the moment, you're not maybe going to do some of those things. Also, relaxing the nervous system can be drawing a warm bath. It can be getting a blanket and just snuggling up in front of the fire. It's something that's soothing, hugging someone, touching them. It's body first, not staying in the mind. This allows you to then come into contact with the sensation without so much fear, and you're already in a more balanced state. Now, of course, we go to the second step, reveal. Reveal is about being with what is present so that what is present can be seen and felt. And there may even be a message for you, which could come in as the form of a thought. Oftentimes, there's an emotion behind the sensation. There's this pain that you've been feeling in your stomach for a few days, and you didn't realize the pain that you had emotionally of your mother not coming to visit this weekend because she said she was going to for the 5th time and she still isn't coming.
Right.
As an example. So there's an emotion back there, but your parent in your mind is like, no, it's fine. She doesn't have to be here. We're going to have a good weekend, whatever. I don't really need to see her anyway. But deep down, there's an emotion of hurt. And there's something that hasn't been processed and felt in this case. If you don't feel an emotion and allow it to have a natural completion, that energy stays in motion, but in your energy centers, which then inform an energy center to be out of balance, which can lead to the creation of chronic illness.
Are there particular energy centers that are linked to different stress responses or physical challenges within the body?
There can be, and this is a wider range conversation, but to make it simple enough, energy centers are related to certain emotions or thoughts or patterns. So the first energy center, this is the part of our body that's most connected to the earth. It's our rawest, most primal, instinctual center. It needs safety. And the kryptonite to that would be fear, danger. So if there is a perceived danger, real or imagined, that can lead to a lot of this cascade of changes in the brain and nervous system. But perhaps it shows up there due to its relevance. Sexuality is also very related to the first energy center, which is quite obvious with the actual genitalia, the hormonal centers all happening there. So you also see that often. The 5th energy center, the throat, which it's also expression, so the mouth, we have the centers of expression here. If you see imbalances taking place there, it's clearly connected to not having a voice, not speaking up, feeling muted, things like that. And this can seem like a bit of a generalization, and we won't get into the specifics of like why does it show up in a specific part of the body too much. I do cover that in the book some, but to be completely honest with you, it's not 100% known still.
Right.
We can't say that. There's no perfect diagnostic device, currently at least, that allows us to see the energy centers that it's collecting in one place. But long story short, I think what's important is whenever we're revealing that there's something in our body, we actually feel the sensation. So we create some space for it. There's a practice called somatic tracking that I guide people to do often. It's really helpful.
Somatic tracking.
Somatic tracking is noticing the sensation in your body. So let's say we relax the nervous system a bit already. Now we're just sitting and your eyes might be closed. You're experiencing, what does it feel like? Right now in this moment, Tyler, do you feel any sensations in your body? Can you tell me anywhere? It could be what you would call good or bad. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely. I feel my digestion working from the meal and this cacao tea.
Awesome. So you feel that more in the lower abdomen?
Yeah.
Cool.
This kind of area.
Now I want you to just briefly scan the body. Noticing, are there any tight spots? Any constriction?
Yeah, and the upper shoulders.
And just be with that for a moment. You're not trying to do anything with it at all. You're just noticing it, lovingly being with it. Like, I'm just right here. I'm right here with this sensation. You're not trying to fix it even. With somatic tracking, you're not trying to get an outcome of, I feel amazing right after. But instead, it's coming in contact with what is here right now and non-resistance. There's just no resistance. Do you feel any resistance to that tension?
Still a little.
Okay. And that's okay. Now almost imagine that you can take that resistance and set it aside on a table for a moment. Like, you know what? I'm going to let myself fall all the way into that sensation. I'm just going to fall into it. I'm safe. I'm safe to do that. So I'm safe to just set it aside. I'm going to be all the way with it. And as you set that resistance aside, that's just the mind as a barrier. It's trying to protect you because the conscious mind thinks that it might be uncomfortable to go there. But as you go there, do you notice anything? Does it change? Is the sensation the same?
It's much lighter.
Lighter now. And is there anything there, like a thought that arises, an emotion that you even feel somewhere?
Nothing's coming up immediately.
And that's just fine. It doesn't have to be. But you've come in contact with something that was present that before you weren't present with. And I think you notice the lightness, the connection. Do you feel fear of any part of your body coming in contact with more sensations? Or do you just feel, this is good right now?
Are you meaning in a different area or
Yeah, anywhere.
why this is coming up here?
No, just anywhere in your body. You just feel good right now?
I feel really good. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's amazing. You can open your eyes. The thing, for everyone who's watching, the thing is, Tyler didn't have a specific qualm, like a specific thing, like, oh, my shoulders have been killing me all day. That's different, honestly. But I at least got to demonstrate a bit about how it goes, how it works.
Yeah.
Now, in many cases, here's the thing. A lot of people are like, I'm going to do somatic tracking to make myself feel better. That's not why you do it. You do it with outcome independence. I'm doing this to be present with what is instead of running away from what's there.
With outcome independence.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard that.
That's how we do it in the USA.
I love that. The way that I've experienced the most healing in my life is by detaching from the outcome, right? And as somebody that loves people so much, I used to be very attached to the way that energy was received back. Like, what's the sonar signal that's coming back? And the more that I've just become comfortable with knowing that I'm showing up with love, and it doesn't matter how something gets reciprocated back, but as long as I'm giving from a great place and doing my best to connect, then I can live with whatever outcome. And so that outcome independence has been a super hack for me in the life emotional game.
It's so beautifully said. I love that. It's the same thing when it comes to physical symptoms. So when you're feeling the physical symptom, we get to this place where we can notice with curiosity what's happening. And you don't always get a message. It's not that you immediately get an email from your shoulders like, oh, this is the thing you've been avoiding. You need to quit your job. No, but whenever you relax, you reveal by being with what is, and then we go to the next step, which is release. Release does not mean I take this symptom in my shoulder. I'll go back to the stomach. I take this into my stomach and get rid of it. You don't release by throwing something away. You release by no longer holding on. When you no longer hold on, what happens automatically?
The release?
The release. It's not a forced effort. It's a non-effort of force.
Wu wei.
Yeah, wu wei. So what does that mean? That's how do you release? Release has more to do with once an emotion is experienced, or an attachment, or a fear, or the root causes that we talk about. Not necessarily just the symptom. You're not like, oh, I release this symptom now to the world. That would be cool if we could do that. I haven't figured out a way to make that happen. However, when you reveal what's happening beneath the surface, you're with it, and maybe an emotion does rise up related to your mother. And there's a part of you that wants to hold on to that and hold it over her head and to feel bad about it and to be upset about it and hold that anger in instead of allowing yourself to feel the anger, to feel the frustration, to feel the hurt, to let it pass naturally. And behind it, there's always a natural peace. There's a completion. That's the release we're talking about, because that's the micro level technique, remember. Do we do this once and then 10 years of chronic pain goes away? Sometimes. A lot of times it's a rinse and repeat of these patterns are really strong. That's why the 10 years is perpetuated. Not because the chronic pain is so bad because my body's broken. No, it's because now the pattern has been stratified and strengthened.
Yep.
And so we just rinse and repeat. And when you read the book and just talking in the work that I do, I don't just say only do the root cause way. That's the primary path, though.
Right.
Can you do stretches or yoga? Can you eat healthy foods? Can you change some of those things up? Can you get some assistance from a body worker? Can you do plant medicine? These are all great tools. But there are tools that oftentimes are diversions, because the diversion seems convenient. If I just go to this body worker, I heard they're really, really good.
Right.
And if I go there once a week for a few months, I'll be good. And maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. I'm not saying that couldn't happen. I'm saying if you don't come into contact with what's there for you,
right,
it's going to stay there. It may get reduced some for a while, comes back up. Also, there's something called the symptom imperative from Dr. John Sarno, who's a really amazing teacher in the mind-body space. And he was able to explain to us and through his books that when you may do mechanical, chemical, physical things to help your pelvic floor, and you're like, wow, that's cool, I'm getting a lot better. 6 months later, I have IBS now. I'm gonna fix IBS. I'm gonna go to the best gastroenterologist. I'm gonna change my diet. It's gonna be cool. A couple of years later, you have another straw that breaks the camel's back. You've got those stressors that keep building up, and then something falls again. I have back pain now. So these psychosomatic symptoms, these nervous system, brain-created symptoms can show up anywhere in the body. But sometimes people think that they fixed it when they masked it for a while until they get hit again by life, because life always comes. And that's okay, that's life. But so the learning is coming into contact with what's here right now and not hiding from it and being able to feel it. But the thing is, these unfeelable emotions are so scary, it's easier to have pain. There's even a scientific study about this. Dr. Richard Lane proved that essentially people would prefer physical pain over emotional pain.
Really?
Yeah. If you think about it, just quickly, if I'm like, Tyler, let's say you're going through the worst heartbreak of your life, just the most intense pain, crazy depression, like, I'm going to punch you in the stomach so hard right now. You're going to feel a lot of pain. You're going to have a stomach ache for a while, but you're not going to feel that anymore at all.
Right.
You take it.
Yep.
Of course. So that's, essentially what happens.
It's so interesting. The cliche, we must feel to heal. It's coming up so loudly for me as you're describing all this in karma. The idea of karma is this cause and effect relationship, this input-output. What am I actually giving out and what's coming back? What am I putting in and what's coming out? And so really with the, what was the first R?
That's relax.
Relax. Interesting. So relax is, okay, actually get back to presence with a regulated nervous system. So then...
Yeah, then we go to reveal.
Reveal. Okay. And so with reveal, it's we're feeling it. So we're feeling to heal. We're actually being with that presence that exists. And then the third R...
Release.
Release.
Yeah.
And then we actually just let it go by being present. So the more that I'm holding on to stories, challenges, emotional stuck loops, like look at the finger, it's restarting over and over and over and then showing up in the different areas of my body. Is that a fair synopsis?
Yeah, very well said. And a couple of things I want to point out, because some people when they hear this, they're like, go to hell. Like, my pain's level 8. I'm not doing that.
Right.
I need pain medication. I need something real. I need something that will fix me now. Do that for a while, and that's why people come to me 3 years later. They're like, yeah, I've been doing that. It didn't work. I'm like, what happens often is people drop down to their knees in so much pain and suffering that the ego starts to break open just enough for more light to come in. When more light comes in, there's a greater level of awareness. And now there's more of an ability to be self-reflective. And that's totally natural. There's no judgment. People are in different places of their lives at all times. But the first one is relax. And I think that sometimes people are like, what do you mean relax? I'm in extreme pain right now. I can't force myself to.
It's a skill, right?
But also part of relax, and like in the book and my work, we show you this, is in many cases, you can realize that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your body. This is actually a neuroplastic symptom or a neurophysiologic creation. And that helps people relax so much. Because when they're like, this could be a prostate cancer, this could be some sort of severe rare genetic disease, I don't know, all these things. And you realize actually the brain and nervous system has the ability to create all of these sensations, pain, and dysfunction. And that's what's happening. That's why it's good to go to a doctor and kind of we have an assessment. It's a self-assessment that helps you rule out a structural condition and then rule in essentially a brain or nervous system condition. Like I said, that's not in everyone's case. Some people have supposed, structural disease pathologies.
Can you give us a percentage? How much, at least from what you've seen or anecdotally, do you feel?
I've seen numbers like 70 to 80% of all doctor's visits are ultimately nervous system or brain oriented.
Wow.
Very high percentage. are also, it's called psychosomatic or psychophysiologic or neurophysiologic. Because some people with psycho are like, mine, it's in my head. No, it's not. Your brain is creating it because of what's in your head and your heart, to speak, simply at least about it. But in the people that I work with, pelvic, urinary, sexual health, oh man, 95% of them don't have structural issues.
Wow.
It's a very high percentage. Very high. A lot of them think that they do. A lot of this is also part of the challenge sometimes to going into the Western medical system, is you might think that you have a structural issue because of what you're being told,
right,
and confusion around it. You're told like you have pudendal neuralgia. You look it up and you're like, oh my gosh, my pudendal nerve must be entrapped, and really there are a lot of structural issues with it, and it's creating this tingling and burning and all these weird symptoms in my pelvic floor because of the pudendal nerve. Pudendal neuralgia doesn't even mean that. It means neuralgia, or the neuropathic sensations are being experienced around the pudendal nerve. There's also pudendal nerve entrapment.
What's the pudendal nerve?
The pudendal nerve is a major nerve that runs down through the pelvis and is connected to genitalia and a lot of the functionality of the pelvic floor. So it's a primary nerve that feeds into this part of your body.
Okay.
So I'm just using this as an example that just because you were given a label doesn't mean that's the whole story. And to use your own discernment. But when it comes to relaxing, knowing that realizing that there's nothing really wrong with your body, there's no damage being done, is very relaxing. And also, it doesn't have to be, let me sit down and be a Zen monk for 10 minutes, like in perfect meditation.
Right.
You can there's something called a wall push, where you like push on the wall. You can do the salamander pose, where you just move you move your head to the side as you're looking down. And as you do this, you're leaning your head, you're actually looking down at the bottom left 45-degree angle. And this is interrupting stress physiology because it's not something you would do whenever you're in fight or flight. Fight or flight, you are aware, paying attention, you are revved up. So there are these little tricks that you'll see in somatic, there's somatic practices. I'm just trying to point out, I'm excited too because we have a new series on my YouTube channel coming out pretty soon called Somatic Shift.
Awesome. What's your YouTube channel?
Transform Pelvic Health.
Awesome.
And Somatic Shift is for the first R. It's for relax. So it's like, hey, here's a slew of choices. I'm like really not doing very well. Press play. A couple of minutes later, a lot better. Now I feel like I could do a somatic tracking. Now I feel like I could be with it a little bit closer. Beforehand, going straight there is pretty hard. Going straight there is pretty hard. And sometimes people are in really high levels of pain and dysfunction. If you absolutely needed to take pain medication, or to go to a physical therapist, or to a body worker or acupuncturist, or getting some sort of assistance when you're at your lowest of lows, that's okay. It can help you get down to like level 5 of symptoms, where you can now do more of the root cause way stuff.
That's a good perspective. So with this method, it probably is important that somebody's at like a 5 or less out of 10 as far as the pain, right? If somebody's at an 8 out of 10, this is obviously important, but it might be more critical at that point. Yeah,
so I mean, when you're in really high levels of symptoms, if you can get some help or calm, relax, that's a really good idea. Now, if you've been on this journey a little bit longer, we have like the really brave, courageous souls who sit with it at level 9. You don't have to do that, but I want to point out that sometimes people start on this path and they're like, wow, I just did somatic tracking. I'm doing some meditations. I'm doing some breath work. My symptoms are getting a little bit better. And then they come back. They get a little bit better. It's not a perfect linear line. You see some progress, you see some digression happen, you see some progress, you see some digression. And when the digression happens, we call it a flare-up. People think that flare-ups mean failure. Flare-ups are opportunities. That's when opportunity is knocking. Now you have something to work with, actually. Now I can do the root cause way. Now I can be with what's there, because now the whisper turned into a scream, and there's the opportunity to come closer in contact with the root cause itself. Versus, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Did I eat gluten again? Is it because I masturbated? Is it because I, sat down on a chair for too long? There's this magnifying glass looking outside into the world everywhere. What's the thing that caused the flare up this time? Was it this? How was it this? What did I do wrong? And you turn that magnifying glass around into a mirror. You're like, oh, what's been going on here recently? That's where it's at.
Honesty.
Yep.
Capital T, truth.
Yeah. That's the root truth.
That is the root truth. Wow. So if I'm in denial, I'm unwilling to look inside, what kind of suggestion do you have? Like, let's say I just believe that my pain is next level and it's incurable and I'm so sick of it and it's frustrating and it's affecting all my relationships. What would you suggest to that person if they're unwilling to even look at a book like The Root Truth?
Yeah. Well, I can't force someone to do anything, but I would encourage to have an experience, at least be open to an experience of some sort with an open mind. Let me try one of those somatic practices whenever my symptoms are pretty high, instead of popping a pill. Let me just try it. Let me do this somatic tracking thing, or let me just do a couple of these things. And I have some meditations and tools and things on my YouTube channel. And then our full programs are, really comprehensive, but there are free things out there. So have an experience. And then someone might be like, well, that didn't fix my problems. It doesn't in one experience, but you may have something happen. You may feel like, well, my mind's a little bit calmer right now than it was 10 minutes ago. My pelvic floor actually feels better than before I did this. That often is what will take people from that disbelief to the belief and the acceptance. Experiential, not informational. There's already a guardian of the mind, the egoic protector, saying this does not match my belief system about the world. They're not going to read the book. I'm surprised you're even listening to the podcast.
That's a great point.
But to be fair, though, there are people listening to this podcast that are in that camp. And I love you all. I love everyone. There's no judgment. We're just talking about it. Because the people who are listening that are in that camp also want to get better.
Right.
They also deserve to get better and to experience a beautiful life in their bodies. And to be open to this approach. Sometimes, too, there's skepticism. Will it really work? Is this scientifically valid? There's a ton of research that supports everything we're talking about. This isn't made up. I've worked with over 1,000 clients. We collect data on what works and what doesn't. There's a lot of work in the area of neuroplastic conditions, neurophysiology, psychophysiologic. It's not new. You can read some of that stuff if you want. Watch success stories. Listen to people.
That's brilliant.
Over and over again, talking about things that you're dealing with. And I love the success stories where I never meditated. I never thought. I have a lot of the success stories that have done my program. It's so cool. They're like, I would have never thought I would be a person that does these things. But it's because they had to get 5 years into it because their ego was so freaking hard-headed.
Right.
And you don't have to go that long, but I'm just saying that's part of this. And then they finally broke down and started accepting and feeling and changing and letting go of personality tendencies. And we haven't even talked about that much, but there are coping mechanisms, these personality tendencies that put a lot of stress on the nervous system. But yeah, looking at things and letting them go. So that's what I would recommend. And you're awesome for even listening to this podcast. Because, we've got a lot of the Omis over here who are like, this is already believe and understand a lot of this stuff. I just want to hear a little bit more of it, and that's also good. But
it is. One of the things that I love about the You Transformed retreats is, you and Joda, as I call him, John Hodge, your dad, A legend. I love this dude.
I do too.
You know, I've been to a Joe Dispenza experience and 2,000 people in Dallas, and I know you've been to several. And I witnessed miracles taking place. My brother did a coherence healing with a woman who had rheumatoid arthritis, and she couldn't even grab a pillow without it being excruciating pain. She ran up to him in the hallway the next day and goes, "Kevin, look at this." And she's like, "It's gone."
Oh my God.
Full strength. And so when you're discussing these things, you know, I have a very deep belief system that our spirit is the most important factor, and yet the mind, if I'm a free-flowing vessel, then everything, like right now I'm doing a physical cleanse, right? And it's a raw vegan diet at this point. Well, I guess the little bit of cacao that's probably processed.
100% cacao.
Almost.
100% cacao, come on.
It's 100% cacao.
We're pretty good.
Yeah. But that's the idea, is I've gone from eating a ton of meat and eggs and things that I thought were good because society has taught me that these things are good. But in reality, it's building up all of this mucoid plaque within my digestive system. And so the nutrient absorption that could happen from the food that's going in is minimized. And so when I look back at some of my symptomology personally, which I'm not going to discuss here specifically, right? We all have our own. But let's just say there's been a dramatic improvement with my digestive system based on restructuring what it is that I'm putting in first, like fruit that can actually be digested, and then the time frames. And shout out to Megan Perkins on this, rooted regeneration, the root truth. It's all, we're in the same thought process, and I love it because you're actually bridging a lot of this, what is, woo-woo, quote unquote, like the energetic stuff that to me is becoming more and more real.
I think it's woo-way, isn't it?
It's woo-way. It's the woo-way.
It's not woo-woo.
Exactly, and I love that you're bridging that, because even if that's the primary driving factor, is that the energy is flowing in and I've got all these thoughts that are going, and if I've got all this pain and frustration, if I want somebody else to feel guilty or something, I'm the one that's eating the poison.
Yeah, and I love that you were slowing down and listening, and even with diet changes and movement changes and lifestyle changes, when you come into contact with what's happening inside of you, you'll feel that stuckness. You're like, I'm feeling this slowness, I'm feeling this stuckness. I feel sad. I feel like I want to play again. I want to move. Like, what am I doing? Or you may just feel like, why do I keep eating so much food? I'm sitting around working at a computer 10 hours a day. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. I'm not even hungry. Like, you can get messages, you can get guidance to make practical changes.
Yes.
But also what you're saying too is important, because a lot of people eat seemingly the perfect diet and try to do everything just right, oftentimes out of fear, because they don't want to make a mistake and reduce their longevity and all that other stuff.
Wow. Yes.
Really an extremely big driver for health food trends and wellness, trends. But another thing that I would point out is that, and Dispenza talks about this quite eloquently, if you're eating the healthiest raw vegan food, it's still just fuel for the anger, for the resentment,
right,
for the fear, for the shame, for the guilt, for the pressure you put on yourself to constantly perform in all parts of your life, all of these factors. So just the chemical alone or just the movement alone isn't the whole answer, but we do want to be holistic and be aware of all of that. And it's not overwhelming. You don't have to know everything about food, everything about movement. You just need to listen to yourself. What's happening here?
But Michael, that can be the scariest thing.
It is the scariest thing.
It can be terrifying.
It can often be.
I mean, meditation, the idea to become familiar with, to sit in silence means I actually am sitting in the truth of what's arising. And it can be very challenging. And thankfully, just like with our muscles, if we don't use it, we lose it, right? And so the more that I can actually connect and listen into my body, the more I'm actually going to be hearing from it and through it. And so the more that I can accept that, that's the capital T truth. And then I feel like a more whole being. I'm going to have guidance that's flowing through because it's literally talking. We are a collection of so many other organisms. I mean, what's 40 trillion cells? That's the latest that I've heard.
I've never counted.
I haven't counted either. It's wild. But like, do the cells in the liver, do they know that they're part of the liver? Does that liver know that it's a part of this body? On some level, it has to. But yet, I can easily believe, well, I'm just this one machine. I'm this one thing. I'm actually one of the most complex organisms probably to have ever existed. And to be able to go within and listen and do the 3R process, that root truth way.
And the thing is, the only reason we even need a 3R process is because of the conditioned mind stranglehold over this situation that's happening. Because if you set it aside as an example, which not saying that that's exactly what you do, the mind-body system, it's a very intelligent, you are a very intelligent organism. It rebalances itself constantly.
Right.
Always reaching equilibrium. That's not just on the digestive side and all the other biological processes side, that's also on the emotional side too. So like it comes up, these negative thoughts, these worries, all of the thoughts that you have in your mind, right? A high percentage of these in the subconscious. You have so many thoughts. That's the smoke from the fire that's still burning inside that hasn't been released yet, that hasn't been fully burnt out. So we think that these thoughts are separate. They're not. It's all interrelated. As we start to listen and allow that process to take place, the clearing happens automatically. You know, this is like whenever people do plant medicine and they're able to kind of set aside the prefrontal cortex, that thinking mind, that controller. When the controller's set aside, what happens? Oh, the repressed emotions, the memories, the trauma, the fears, they kind of expand out. And in it feels safe, like it's a safe, loving space. It's a container. But now that the mind isn't trying to keep everything hidden in its boxes everywhere, it comes out. So it can be revealed and released. You can do this without plant medicine, but it's just an example of how our conscious controlling minds are often doing this. But what's cool is that when you start to lean into it a little bit more, you become more comfortable with coming in contact with things that are uncomfortable and challenging emotions. And instead of them festering for years, you feel them in the moment, you cry, you yell, you make a choice, life happens. Instead of it turning you into a frozen, you're in freeze response or flight response, running away from it, and sometimes fight as well. So these different responses can happen.
Fight, flight, freeze, or flow.
I love that. There we go. F it up. Yeah.
Oh, man. Wow. Where do you want to take it?
Yeah, let's take it home. Let's take it home to the heart. Take it home to the love. Love is so important. And people talk about self-love a lot. Self-love is also self-acceptance. So it's whatever's here right now, the way my body looks, its anatomy, my flaws. I'm not as smart as I want to be. I'm not as funny as other people, whatever. You start to let go of these things. Like, I accept what is here right now. I even accept that my stomach doesn't feel good right now. By the way, right now is an important word because everything's always changing.
That's right. And this moment
is
really
the best
is the best moment.
Of course it is. It's the only moment. Why would you choose otherwise? So
And that's the cool part about being a human is we get the choice.
Yeah.
I don't know if every creature gets that choice, but we actually can decide. I can choose my perspective. I don't necessarily choose what's happening around me, right? Or what happens to me, but I always get to choose my perspective of how I'm going to show up and approach that situation.
Exactly.
And as you were describing the process of going inward and being honest about what's showing up, the word that's coming up bigly for me is courage. We're becoming more and more courageous to be able to sit with, to reveal the truth of what is, to relax into the fact that it just is. My body just is. This moment just is.
Yeah.
Everything else I'm layering on top of that. So when I release, then I'm releasing the physical mind to need, which goes back to one of your favorite teachers, Eckhart Tolle, the power of now.
Mm-hmm. Love that. And once you're able to come in contact and accept what is here all the way, or even more so than you have been, you're able to share it with others. You're able to just, this is what is right now, and it's okay. And this is what's happening. Maybe they help you, maybe you interact, maybe you chat about it. You don't have to take the burden all on yourself. Humans are social animals. I mean, if you look at the vagus nerve and how it stimulates our vagus nerve to just have some loving touch.
Yeah.
Have a hug. Have someone look you in your eyes. Spend time in warmth and that connection and that community. It really relaxes your nervous system, puts you in parasympathetic rest, digest, rejuvenation is happening. So love is big. It's the acceptance, but also coming into contact with others as you are and just being as you are. And that warmth and that love, if it's not there, that's okay. There may be situations where we need to step away from certain relationships.
Right.
And then pivot and put ourselves in new environments. It might even just be an online community right now. Can you find someone to have a Zoom call with or a group once a week? Or there's so many positive communities everywhere. And of course, in person is beautiful and that can happen too. But if you're able to listen to this podcast, you're able to find that connection anywhere.
Yes. That's how we met.
Yeah.
I literally went on meetup.com and I typed in consciousness. And I found you transformed 4 years ago. We met and my life is completely transformed. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you so much. You showed up for me in ways that I didn't even know that a brother could. There's been so many magic moments that we've been able to share together, so much co-creation, so many laughs, so many smiles, so much community, so much connection, camaraderie. And it's just, bro, it's a privilege and an honor. Just love you so much, man.
Love you, brother.
Aho.
Aho.
How does the listener get a hold of you?
Yeah. I've got the YouTube channel. It's a great place to start, get a lot of free tools, Transform Pelvic Health. You can hit me up on Instagram at Transform Pelvic Health, the website, Transform Pelvic Health. And then there's the book, The Root Truth, which is going to come out spring 2025. So that'll be a really great, it's like the fullest refinement of my understanding of how all this works in one book.
Yeah, so, let's go.
It's going to be beautiful. I'd love to help in some way if I can. By the way, the work that I do, it's primarily pelvic health oriented, but it applies to all brain, nervous system oriented imbalances. It's actually all, that's the secret. It's all the same thing, but we give some root region specific practices and help and understanding, which can be nice. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's grow, brother.
Let's grow.
2020 thrive. All right. Thank you so much for tuning. You're one of the rare people that actually made it the entire way through the podcast. That's really impressive. If this had resonance with you, if there's one person that comes to mind that you could share this with, please do and let us know what it is that they think, how they feel, and how they've transformed.
Beautiful.
Peace and love.